Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Guys, good to see you both again. I genuinely love this show. I watched the whole thing. It's unbelievable. So thank you for taking the time.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm
Got it,
so
bud.
glad you liked it.
I'm going to jump into this, Colin, and I want to start with you. It's been really incredible to watch how much the superhero genre has changed on the big screen over the last 25 years. I'm sort of curious, in terms of your acting experience, what was the biggest difference for you between playing Bullseye and Daredevil 20 years ago versus the Penguin and Batman today?
What was the biggest difference? I don't know, man. I don't see much difference in any of it. You know, I've been asked before, what was it, if I've done, I was asked when I did True Detective the second season, what's the big difference between doing, you know, an 8 part or 6 part, whatever it was, show and doing a feature film? And I said, it's all the same. You're just trying to tell stories and you're trying to bring them to life. And the machinations around, like the structure around storytelling and around films has changed and society has changed. You see, you know, we're always sending 80s videos back and forth to each other, commercials in the 80s and WWF interviews with Randy Macho Man Savage and shit. And, you know, the way a community experiences itself changes the tone of music and the aesthetic of the times, of course. But fundamentally, it's still the same. You're still trying to be convincing. You're trying to take the written word and make it real and put breath and movement into it and all that kind of stuff. I will say that there does seem to be a greater desire for the general public to immerse themselves in these worlds now, and the tropes of the comic genres seem to provide a kind of a certain relatability to the contemporary world, which is interesting. I mean, in ours, it deals a lot with the haves and the have-nots, those who are born into wealth versus those who are born into poverty, and the great chasm between those two. And that's something obviously that the major cities in our world has always contended with, but it's getting ever wider and ever wider and ever more corrupt. But it feels to me fundamentally to be the same thing.
That's interesting. This is for both of you guys. There's been obviously so much talk about who the next Batman villain should be. I'd love to know, Colin, which iconic Batman villain would you love for Oz to go toe to toe with? And Mike, is there another Batman villain you would love to do the makeup for?
You know, I'd love to see. I loved what Barry and Mike created.
Oh,
You know, and there was the two scenes, one which was released afterwards and one that was in the film. But I don't know if I'd love to go against him or form some kind of twisted alliance with Barry's Joker, but I'll just keep it close to home and say that.
Mike, would love to talk to both of you guys about the makeup process. And this might be maybe an oversimplification of things, but is there a moment every day, or even, on the original of the Batman, where you can see that switch between Colin and Oz? Like, Colin, as an actor, do you feel it? And Mike, do you start to get the sense during that process on a daily basis that, like, oh, there it is. There's that moment where the switch happens?
I think, once you start gluing all the pieces on, you basically what Dick
Knows the big one, isn't it?
well, yeah, I mean, well,
The
Dick,
anchor.
Dick Smith, who was the makeup artist for The Exorcist and The Godfather, he was my mentor. And you could find some videos of him online and see how he spoke and so eloquently. But he had this thing he used to call the Dr. Frankenstein syndrome, when once you start gluing all these pieces to your face and you start putting the nose and all these, and then the color goes on and you start painting and everything. It's just, you created this person and it's becoming alive. And then once he's looking in the mirror and he starts doing the voice and he starts doing like that, it starts living like at a certain point in the makeup chair in the mirror. And it's just like being Dr. Frankenstein, it just, your creation has come to life, So that's where my job kind of ends. And Colin takes over as the character in the show. And it's alive. It's a living person who exists in this world. And at the end of the day, we take it off and he becomes Colin again. He goes home.
Your mentor was the makeup artist on The Godfather?
Oh yeah, Dick Smith.
Dick Smith, the
Total
great,
legend.
beautiful Dick Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just sat down with Mr. Coppola yesterday and we just geeked out about The Godfather for
There you
15
go.
minutes. It was, oh
Nice.
my God.
Exactly.
Guys, I could talk to you all day. If you can't tell, I'm talking to you from Chicago, where Matt Reeves filmed some of the Batman. So I feel like I'm actually talking to you guys from Gotham City.
From Gotham, a part of it, and a
yeah.
suburb in it.
Yeah, no, I love you guys. Colin, it's so funny. You told me on the Batman junket that they wouldn't let you have the cigar. I guess they did. They caved.
Yeah, man, hard R, go hard R. They let me have the cigar. I loved it. At any time that I was got to smoke a stogie it was a good scene for me.
Every scene's a good scene. Guys are pulling me out of here. I just want to thank you guys so much for as
Thanks
I
a
was
million,
raised
man.
a Batman fan and I love you guys and I love what you guys did. So thank you for your time.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.